Hello, my name is Zachary Wiens. I'm a solution architect with Visier. Today, I'm going to show you how easy it is to extend Visier's data model so that you can quickly deliver insights to your customers. This video is going to cover what Visier's data model is, how you can configure and extend Visier's data model to deliver unique solutions. We'll do a little bit of slides to explain some concepts and then a demonstration. Then we'll talk about how Visier makes it easy to solve standardization challenges that are common in analytics and AI, and we'll give a demonstration for that as well. What is Visier's data model? Visier's data model is what it uses to answer business questions to customers. How we approach this problem is we start at the top. We start by asking ourselves, what questions do we want to answer in a specific domain? If you're a product leader, there's probably a set of questions that your customers want you to answer on top of the data that you generate as you power their workflows. To answer those questions, we'll build analyses that have metrics, KPIs, data visualizations to answer those questions. And then underneath those analyses is a data model that powers the answer to those questions. What's unique about Visier's platform is you can define those questions, analyses, and data model once, then reuse that across different customers that's unique to their data set. You can use this to provide out-of-the-box analytics at scale. Visier's data model is really all centered around people. We're expanding out past people to include position management, sales attainment, safety and project assignments. We're dabbling in finance. But on the top here, you can see the core applications that Visier has been building out and refining over the last 14 years, all the way from pre-hire to retire. These are available off the shelf. But if you're a software vendor, you likely want to use some of these applications and their supporting data models. You probably want to extend those as well. Make it your own, make it unique to your customers, their use cases, their domains and industries and specializations. There's an architecture concept in Visier of this idea of a content hierarchy, and it's what tenant and content hierarchy, and it's what makes it easy for you to build something once and reuse it across all of your customers. When we say content, we mean things like dashboards, analyses, the KPIs that power those dashboards, different dimensions. And with Visier's platform, you can, as a software vendor, inherit Visier's content, build and extend your own, and then distribute this to your customers. And they can also then go and override it and make it their own as well. The benefit of this concept is that you can build something, deliver it, and then you can go in and extend it without having to rework everything you've already done. You just keep adding to it, and over time it grows. And with Visier's platform, you can iterate very quickly, and so you can just week over week or quarter over quarter deliver new insights to customers, solving new use cases for them. So what does this actually look like? I'm going to jump now into my demonstration environment. I'm opening up Studio. This is where our partners who are software vendors make changes to their content, the analytic data model. There's also APIs behind the scenes to manage all of this too. And so I'm going to start what's called a new project to extend the data model. Projects are where you can work on changes in isolation, test them. You're not going to affect the production instance, and then you can release them very quickly. The benefit of this is that you can build, test, and deploy with quick iterations without having to painfully manage multiple different data sets and integration environments. But within Studio, I can go to what is known as the analytic objects page. Analytic objects are like tables. We have events, which are similar to fact tables, and subjects, which are similar to dimension tables. And conceptually, a subject is something in the world, and an event is something that happens to a subject. I'm going to go to the candidate subject. The candidate being someone who may apply to a role in an organization. For the sake of the demo, I'm going to create a t-shirt size attribute. There's different attributes and there's courses and documentation on what these are. But I'm going to choose the leveled dimension. and create a t-shirt size so we can know what size of t-shirts a candidate might want. So on the candidate, you can share dimensions across analytic objects. I'm not going to do that though for the sake of the demo. You can also bulk create to quickly add multiple dimensions. So I add this dimension, and you can see now it's one thing that I've extended on the analytic data model myself. Now there's no data here yet, but you can use mappings to load in data from specific sources for the specific analytic object. You can also define mappings once and then reuse them across customers. So you can have if you have a standard schema and a standard data model that you want to map to, you can define a mapping and reuse it. So I'm going to look up the t-shirt size that I created. And instead of loading demo data, I'm just going to hard code with an extraction rule different t-shirt sizes. So I choose to write a formula. I'm going to do the mod of the row number, and if that is 0, I'll return large. Otherwise, I'll return medium. What's nice about Visier Studio is that whenever you work on mapping changes, you can preview the results of these changes, and you can see quite easily that we alternate between large and medium just for the sake of the demo. Now with Visier, there are videos explaining how to do this, but you need to now generate a data version so that this analytic object lights up. I've already done this, and so I'm going to set this like that. And these changes are done in isolation. They're kept within the project, so I don't have to worry about what's going to happen to the production instance with my customers. Now let's jump back to that candidate analytic object. And seeing as we've updated the data version, we can now see that the t-shirt size has data available. This data available column makes it really easy for you to see what's lit up and what's not for the specific tenant you're looking at. If I click on this, you even get a preview showing you the different values within this dimension. Great. That's all there. And so I showed you how easy it is to add a dimension to your analytic object for the sake of your analytic model to be able to answer the question, what type of t-shirt size do candidates wear? Now, what I want you to take away from this is it's really easy to extend. There's a low-code interface to do all of this, and you don't have to worry about working with complex SQL and different joins. Visier's platform abstracts that all away for you. You just work at the high level, and you have this beautiful user interface, lots of preview functionality, a GitHub-like workflow with projects, and no need to deal with complex SQL and different spaghetti code that is common with other data platforms. So that's what it's like to extend Visier's data model. And there's more we can do with this now, but let's talk about common standardization challenges with analytics and AI. We built out that analytic data model and I hard-coded t-shirt size large and small, but what if you want to count the number of candidates who wear a size large, but they might submit their t-shirt size with a different string, which is going to screw up your counts. You can't group by large if some candidates are submitting L as their t-shirt size, for example. So with Visier's tenant and content hierarchy, there's this idea of concepts that let you abstract at the partner level what it is you want to model and build content dashboards on top of that. And then you can use concepts that are unique to each customer to map a dimension to that concept to then light up the analytics without having to deal with the customer specifics at that point in time. An example we use in HR is the idea of manager. There's many different ways to say someone's a manager, but as a data modeler, you might want an abstract way to do that. And so that's where concepts come in. So let's jump back to Studio and show you what that looks like. I'm going to go to the Concepts tab now, and I'm going to create a concept called, I'm going to choose the selection concepts type, and I'm going to use member concepts. These are really, selection concepts are an easy way to select a given population. There's also concepts to abstract calculations, processes, and even movement. And these can be used across domains, whether it's HR, for payroll, start counting starts and exits, process, whether it's a talent acquisition, recruiting funnel, a sales process funnel, or movement, whether that's headcount movement, skills movement, or even in the finance world, you could use the movement concept to help count intercompany eliminations. I'm going to go ahead and create this selection concept on candidate. I'm going to say large t-shirt size. And let me fix my typo. There we go. And so I've created this concept, large t-shirt size. Now I need to select which dimension this is going to come off of. And so this could be generic across your customers. T-shirt size, but the data that gets loaded into this dimension might change. So there's two ways you can abstract this. You can write a formula through a calculated selection concept, or you can select specific members. I'm going to go ahead with members for the sake of the demo. And I'm going to select large. Now, some customers might, or some candidates might say their t-shirt size is L. So you could also select that. But then you have an abstract filter that you've now created with this selection concept, which is then going to let you go and you can create metrics or KPIs on top of this to measure candidates with a large t-shirt size. So with Visier, it's really easy to create new KPIs. I'm going to go large t-shirt size candidates. You could add a description. We create this metric and we come to the formulator where you can really easily, in isolation, define a new KPI without having to define a new view on its own. You just define this in isolation and the rest is taken care of for you. So the metric formula I'm going to write is on candidates for the current instant, filter by, this is where this abstraction comes in. I can say is large. Here's my selection concept that lets me filter by large t-shirt size candidates, but I've abstracted away like what value might actually be needed for this t-shirt size, which lets you build something and then worry about mapping to some standard later on. And then I'm going to count the unique candidate IDs. Like that. And so I can then validate the metric. There's a formula dictionary down here, so I can look at the different metrics I already have available, the subjects that I have available to create metrics on top of, and then even the different formulas available within metrics. And within Studio, off of this data version inside of my project, I can then validate my work to see that, okay, over time we've been adding more candidates and every other one gets a large t-shirt size. So you can see that this is increasing over time. What's really nice when you're building and troubleshooting is to jump into the details of a given calculation. And you can see here all of the different candidates who have been filtered as large t-shirt size. And so what we showed you in this video is first, what is Visier's data model, how you can think about as a product team building out analytics, answering them with an analytic data model, easily extending that data model with Visier Studio, and solving common standardization challenges, which is one of the hardest problems to solve in analytics and AI at scale across different customers with what Visier calls concepts. Hope you enjoyed the video and reach out if you have any questions.